ignite one of the most volatile places on Earth, the Temple Mount. This isn't just about ancient texts, it's a news story breaking with prophetic implications. For 2,000 years, it was only a prophecy, but that's changing today. The arrival of a handful of perfect red heifers in Israel has sent a shockwave of both excitement and dread across the world. It's a signal to millions that we could be standing on the edge of a monumental shift. Have you ever wondered why a simple cow could cause such a stir? Stick with me, because we're about to unpack an ancient mystery that is colliding with our modern world. To really get the weight of this moment, we have to go back thousands of years. The blueprint is laid out in the book of Numbers, chapter 19. God commanded the Israelites to find a red heifer, a young female cow that was perfect. No defects, no blemishes, and it could never have been used for work. This wasn't just another sacrifice. Its purpose was unique, almost a paradox. Its whole purpose was to create a purification agent to cleanse people from the most powerful kind of spiritual contamination, contact with the dead. According to the law, the heifer was sacrificed outside the camp, and its entire body was burned to ash. Those ashes were then mixed with fresh spring water to create the water of cleansing. This mixture was the only way someone who had touched a dead body could become ritually pure again. Without it, priests couldn't serve in the temple, and the people couldn't enter. The entire system of worship depended on the ashes of a red heifer. For centuries, this was a cornerstone of temple worship. Rabbinic tradition says only 9 of these ceremonies were ever performed, the first by Moses himself. But in 70 AD, everything came to a grinding halt. Roman legions destroyed the Second Temple, the priesthood scattered, and the ashes of the last red heifer were lost. For nearly 2,000 years, that command in Numbers 19 became a historical artifact. The path to rebuilding the temple was blocked by an invisible barrier of ritual impurity. To unlock the future, to even begin, one thing was needed: a perfect, unblemished red heifer. A problem that, for 2,000 years, seemed impossible to solve. What was impossible for 2 millennia is now quickly becoming a reality. In recent years, groups like the Temple Institute, with help from both Jewish scholars and Christian ranchers, have been on a mission to either find or breed a perfect red heifer. The big breakthrough came in September 2022, when 5 promising red heifer candidates were flown from Texas to Israel. This was a huge deal, organized by a group called B'nai Israel. These animals were raised under strict rabbinical supervision to make sure they stayed perfect. As the heifers grew, so did the anticipation. A ceremony was even floated for Passover of 2024, but the timing wasn't right. Now, this is where the story gets murky and critically important. In July 2025, reports and video clips surfaced showing that a red heifer ceremony did take place. It happened in Samaria, not on the Mount of Olives, which is where tradition says the final, official ritual must occur. The Temple Institute and other authoritative sources have called it a groundbreaking test run, a practice using a heifer that had already been disqualified because it had a few non-red hairs. They said the experience was meant to prepare them for the real thing. However, a far more explosive claim has surfaced. Podcaster Adam King alleges this was no practice run. He claims it was a secret but legitimate ceremony with a kosher heifer, intentionally mislabeled to avoid a global firestorm. He even claims to have some of the ashes. This remains a disputed an unverified claim, but it adds a layer of intense intrigue to the situation. Then, in early August 2025, the Temple Institute announced that all the remaining heifers from Texas had also been disqualified. To many, this sounded like a huge setback, but those involved say it's far from over. The disqualified animals will now be used in a breeding program inside Israel, and there are still other candidates waiting. Whether the July ceremony was a practice or a secret fulfillment, one thing is clear: the 2,000-year wait has entered a new, active phase, and the preparations are more advanced than ever. If this content blesses you and you'd like to support our mission, you can buy me a coffee or give a super thanks. Every contribution helps us create more content to inspire and uplift others. So, why does any of this matter? Why the secrecy and international fascination over a cow? Because the red heifer isn't the end goal. It's the key. It's the key that unlocks the door to one of the most anticipated events in both Jewish and Christian prophecy, the rebuilding of the Third Temple in Jerusalem. For many Jews, the temple is where God's presence dwells on earth. For decades, the Temple Institute has been preparing. They've recreated sacred vessels, woven priestly garments, and trained descendants of the ancient priesthood. The only thing they lacked was the means of purification. With the ashes of a red heifer, the priest can be consecrated, the ground can be purified, and the sacrificial system can be restored. For many Christians, the rebuilding of the temple is a critical sign of the end times. The Apostle Paul, in 2 Thessalonians, talks about a man of lawlessness who will one day enter God's temple and declare himself to be God. For that to happen, a temple has to exist. The prophet Daniel also speaks of a time when sacrifices in the temple will be stopped. Again, for them to be stopped, they must first be started. The red heifer is the first domino. So you see, this is where Jewish hopes and Christian prophecy suddenly lock into place. It signals that the final act of a long prophesied drama is beginning. The desire for a new temple is no longer just a prayer, it's an operational plan, and we are watching the pieces fall into place in real time. But the stage for this drama is not empty. It's set on the most contested piece of real estate on the planet, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. To Muslims, it's the Haram al-Sharif, or the Noble Sanctuary, home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, Islam's third holiest site.
This book is your beginner's guide to understanding Scripture. Find peace, build relationships, and discover purpose in today's world. Ready to decode the Bible? Find Bible Decoded available on Amazon now.
For decades, a tense status quo agreement has governed the site. Israel controls security, while a Jordanian-backed Islamic Waqf manages the compound. Non-Muslims can visit, but they are strictly forbidden from praying there. It's a line in the sand that is constantly being tested. And in August 2025, it's being tested like never before. Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has made several provocative visits to the Mount, openly defying the prayer ban and calling for full Israeli sovereignty. These actions have drawn global condemnation. Palestinian and Islamic leaders have warned that the red heifer preparations are a grave provocation, fearing it's a prelude to threatening the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Israeli security agencies have repeatedly warned that these actions risk a major escalation. These are not idle threats. The Temple Mount is a flashpoint for violence, and the combination of the red heifer ceremony with aggressive political moves has created a tinderbox. The act of purification for one faith is seen as an existential threat by another, a conflict that could pull in the entire region. The signs are converging, tensions are at a boiling point, and the stakes couldn't be higher. If you believe we're living in prophetically significant times and want to understand the events the mainstream media often ignores, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. This story is developing faster than anyone expected. So where does this leave us? This isn't happening in a vacuum. It forces us to move beyond headlines and into profound spiritual questions. The Temple Institute itself often quotes the book of Exodus, "And they shall make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them." That's the core motivation, a desire for God's presence to be tangible on earth. Yet this is happening alongside desperate prayers for the peace of Jerusalem, a peace that seems more fragile than ever. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Are we living through one of those moments that will end up in history books? For believers, this is a call to be watchful, not fearful. It's a challenge to examine one's own faith. Christian theology teaches that the Red Heifer ritual was a shadow, a symbol pointing to the ultimate sacrifice of Jesus, who was crucified outside the camp, just as the heifer was, to provide a final, perfect purification. So, while one part of the world sees this as a necessary step toward a physical temple, another sees it as a powerful reminder of a spiritual one. The tension between these two views is electric. This isn't just geopolitics, it's about the very nature of faith and prophecy. It challenges you to ask, what do I believe, and how should I live in light of these incredible, unfolding events? We are at a historic crossroads. An ancient prophecy, dormant for 2 millennia, is now driving world events. The problem of the Red Heifer, once a theological puzzle, has entered a new active phase through a combination of faith, science, and sheer will. We've seen how this is the key to the deeply held hope of rebuilding the Third Temple. We've also seen the immense danger this has ignited, placing the volatile Temple Mount at the center of a global storm. The whispers of prophecy are becoming a roar. The stage is being set. The question is no longer if these ancient prophecies will be fulfilled, but how and when. Are we the generation that will see the next chapter of biblical history written before our very eyes? Only time will tell, but the message is clear. Be watchful.
Feeling anxious or disconnected? Ready for a deeper faith journey designed just for you? Discover Bible Study for Black Women. This guide nurtures faith, strength, and growth week by week. Overcome fear and connect with God. This empowering journey is waiting. Find Bible Study for Black Women on Amazon today and start building unshakable faith.
If this content blesses you and you'd like to support our mission, you can buy me a coffee or give a super thanks. Every contribution helps us create more content to inspire and uplift others. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos.
Templar.